Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I've got some good stories for you guys today, so I'm going to read those out as I work on my base in Subnautica a little bit. I've been having a lot of fun with it so far, so we're going to continue to do that, and I'll read you guys some stories. Alright, our first story comes from Am I the Asshole for Not Wanting to Pay for 20 to 25 people for my wife's birthday party? My wife's birthday is coming up and she wants to celebrate by inviting 20 to 25 people, mostly family, to a restaurant that has a mariachi show. It's not really a high-end place, but it has a minimum spend and the cost will probably be around $1,250 to $1,400 all told. For context, we have a good income, $300,000 a year, but we also have significant expenses like living in SoCal, including paying about $40,000 a year out of pocket for our kids' college. I tend to be more cautious about money, while my wife is more relaxed about spending, especially for social events like this. Part of my hesitation is financial, but part of it is also the living experience itself. The restaurant tends to involve waiting to get in, then sitting through the show, and then leaving. It's not really a setting where you get much time to talk or connect with people, so to me, it feels like a lot of money for something that's not enjoyable or meaningful. And the food isn't really great. I think it's terrible, actually. I also had a reaction, which may be where I'm in the wrong, about the guest dynamic in the past. When we've had a larger group celebration, many people didn't bring a gift or anything. Some are younger, some just don't seem to think about it. My wife says she doesn't care about the gifts and just wants everyone there. But I think if you're hosting and paying for a big group, it feels a bit one-sided if there's no real acknowledgement. She thinks I'm being cheap and that is her birthday and she just wants to celebrate with a big group. I agree that her birthday should be what she wants, but I would feel uncomfortable footing the bill for that many people, especially for something I don't think is a great experience. And frankly, should we be paying for this sort of thing anyways? It seems like anytime she takes her friends out for their birthdays, she also pays. I'd be fine doing something smaller where I pay, or having a bigger group where people pay for themselves, or having something at my house. My wife, on the other hand, never seems to care about spending money. Am I the asshole for pushing back on this? First of all, paying for that many people is a lot, and 300 grand a year is pretty good. You can live pretty comfortably off of that. But since I think it's only once a year, I don't think it's like the end of the world. But then again, to be fair, 20 to 25 people is that is a pretty big group. If it were like a smaller group, I'd be fine with that personally. But it's not, right? There is an important note. It says she's turning 56, so I assume they've been married for a while, and they also both came from like dirt poor families. So I understand the frugality of the guy. I think that's the word. But I don't know. That's just what I think. Let me know what you guys think. All right, on to the next story. This next one comes from r/love stories. I'm currently 24 and I still sometimes think about the days I was 16 and had something special going. She was my best friend, my number 2. She wasn't the most attractive conventionally, but the connection we had made me think she was the most beautiful person. We never did date or even do anything too sensual, but there were plenty of memories, like when she drank for the first time and she went outside just wanting to get away and I idiotically followed her. Even gave her my coat as it was cold outside. Or we sat in the pouring rain on a rooftop. One of my personal favorites was when I held her as she stood on my skateboard and I walked her through town, teaching her how to ride, then stopping at a coffee shop. We talked forever. She was a bit of a writer, and on a few occasions she'd write about me and how she viewed me or our friendship. For the life of me, I can't remember what they said or even a rough idea of what they used to say. But I do remember how important they made me feel. We were both just two shy idiots who valued each other like no one else. We had a very similar music taste, but also enough of a difference to introduce each other to new songs that we'd enjoy. For a few weeks, I used to come over and we'd sit in her mom's car, just listening to music, vaping, and on a few occasions wrestling. I'd let her win, obviously, and it wasn't even in a sexual manner. I just used to admire the way she looked at me. One night, I gave her something of a space lesson as we laid in the grass just looking up at the sky. I remember once she pointed out Orion's belt, which I previously showed her, and the Big Dipper, and I asked, "Are those the only constellations you know?" in a teasing manner, and she laughed in a very sarcastic no. I laugh as I recall this memory. Whatever connection we had was intense. After a cookout with friends, I had to head home, and she was going to stay back with some of her other friends, and she decided to walk halfway back to my place so I didn't have to venture completely alone. I remember when she stopped, I kind of just looked at her and we went for a hug, and I remember as we held each other, it felt like the world stopped, like my thoughts were silent. In that moment, it felt like we were the only two people in the universe. I remember getting home, and it felt like someone had told me some amazing news, or that I had won $1 million or something. I remember thinking, why do I feel so good, so happy? It took me a bit to realize it was the dopamine rush I had from our physical connection. We used to talk about anything and everything for as long as we could, both in person, over text, and over the phone. I remember one time we kind of ran out of things to talk, and I mentioned something along the lines of us drifting or something. At some point, I had apologized for scaring her, and that I'm not going anywhere. I still remember reading the message. I tried not letting it get to me, but I'm sensitive. I was such an idiot. I had hurt her a few times out of my own self-destructive behaviors, and eventually, I hurt her and she went numb to me. It wasn't till then I realized how much I felt I needed her, but it was too late, and she was done. After a year of being the most depressed I had ever been over her, she came back. She came to get me just like she used to. Apparently she missed me after needing time away from me. Things felt so different and I didn't like it. In my mind I was ready to pick up exactly where we left off, but she was so different. New friends, new habits, new thoughts. We tried for months, but things were just too different, and it felt like we were trying for something that simply wasn't going to happen. We were toxic to each other. I remember how much things hurt and how I tried to look past so much. She also had to put up with all the emotional pain I was giving her. After waiting for so long, we parted ways, and she admitted to pushing me away eventually. Eventually, she came back after about a year. As much as I was moving on and missed her, I felt I was okay. Though apparently a good portion of the time she still thought about me and how she hurt me. That she'd still write to me or even pretend she's venting to me. She talked about how it felt like I was the only person in the world who used to listen and truly care about her. In her notebook she had notes that were addressed to me about how she missed me, what we had, and that she felt horrible for what happened. I remember for the first time in forever, it felt like we were ready to pick up where we left off. As history repeats itself, things didn't work out. She was distant, but at the same time talked about being there. I seen her maybe once in that third attempt, as it was all texting. Things officially ended between us when she chose another man. I remember the morning her socials popped up on my feed, and there was a picture of her and some dude with a caption I can't remember and don't want to remember. It sucked, and I remember calling her out on how she couldn't even give me the decency of letting me know there's someone else. Truly, I still don't know why she pulled and pushed me so much or why I put up with it. Maybe it was that I constantly believed we could still have the connection we had from the start. Never in my life have I had something so intricate, so delicate but painful, so meaningful. I've dated and had short crushes since, but nothing has ever come close to what we had. That hug is still by far the most sensual physical sensation I've ever felt with someone. Lord knows I don't miss her in particular, but I do miss that connection. I miss what we had. I miss being young and in love. Sometimes I still feel like that 16-year-old kid looking for his best friend, only to wake up as a 24-year-old adult in this stressful world of hell without anyone special. I do ponder what it would be like if we worked out, or if I didn't ruin things the first time, but after trying again and again, it gives me peace of mind that it was probably only a matter of time. I'm going to be honest, I can speak from personal experience here, and it really does suck when someone that special is no longer in your life. In high school, I was super close with this girl, and we talked constantly. If we weren't in person, we were on the phone. If we weren't on the phone, we were texting. And if we weren't texting, we were either both asleep or in person. I told her how I felt, and I did ruin the friendship by doing that. But I learned so many different lessons through doing that, and it was a pretty tough time, I will say. But I did learn a lot. But you know what? Since that one was a little sad, we're gonna lighten the mood with a much happier story. Early 20s F, I'm officially part of the 35% of people who make it to a full year of sobriety after attempting to quit alcohol. All odds were against me. I have ADHD and I'm autistic. Alcohol turned me into the person I always wanted to be, but I no longer want to be that person. I've realized that sober me is actually pretty damn cool. I'm from Ireland, a country that has a huge drinking culture. The journey hasn't always been easy, especially around celebrations like Patrick's Day and Christmas time. From 3 psychiatric hospitalizations and 1 rehab stay to returning to education and loving my life is sometimes unbelievable. And guys, you'll never guess what, sober dancing is possible. I'm a willful dancer, but I was doing it drunk, so I may as well step it up on the dance floor now too. I'd love to thank everyone here. Some days I've come to Reddit to escape the triggers of the real world, and this sub has never failed to boost my mood. I feel my brain has majorly changed this past year. My memory is actually terrifying me, in a good way of course. I have all these random fun facts that I can now remember. I can't stop telling these ridiculous facts and statistics like, did you know whale milk has the consistency of toothpaste or butter? I have always loved information, but man, since getting sober, I want to know and share everything. I have passion in my heart and desire to connect with those around me. My love for life is growing each day. What a beautiful thing it is to wake up clear-headed with no regrets from the night before. First of all, I just want to say congratulations to this person. I've personally never touched alcohol, and that's just been my choice, but I do know how it can affect some people, and that makes me happy that someone is feeling that much better after overcoming an addiction, because that can be a really hard thing to do. So congratulations to you, sir. This next one comes from Am I the Asshole subreddit. I really like these ones. They've got a bunch of really good stories, so we'll go ahead and read this one. So we were at a family gathering yesterday in my house for my dad's birthday, and my little cousin was acting up. He was told multiple times to stop grabbing the dog's tail. She is very patient, but will snap as all dogs do. I warned him very firmly, but not harshly. He's 4. Stay away from the dog for now. She's not happy with you. Why? I want to play with the doggy. I know, but she doesn't want to play with you. Leave her alone. He huffs and goes away. We thought, oh good, we now don't need to deal with him. We were so wrong. Time passes and my dog runs off. I'm worried because I don't want her to be terrorized by the kid, so I get up and go through the crowded house to find her. Then I hear possibly the worst thing I could hear. My dog growling. I follow up the gasps and no, bad dog, and find them in the kitchen. My dog's actually snapped at the kid, barked, then he wouldn't take the hint. She lunged at him a little. I immediately panicked as the adults are clueless and are telling off my dog and not the child, upsetting her. So I walk forwards and give him a light smack on the head. And by light, I mean I barely grazed him. He cries and tries to run, but I grabbed his arm and tell him to stay away from my dog and do as he's told. I leave the dog away. No way in hell am I picking her up. Are you kidding me? And give her to my mom. She's the dog's favorite. I then tell everyone else to get out of my house. My mom and dad understand and tell everyone to leave when my aunt comes up and says, "Don't you hit my son, you wee shit." Her exact words, by the way. I remember them because she said it so viciously that I don't think I could ever forget, even if I tried. Also, maybe teach him to follow rules? I apologized to my dad for ruining his birthday, but he said it's fine. I don't think so, but he was insistent. Anyway, many family members texted me about it, and one had the audacity to send me a link to a therapist website and lectured me on the dangers of hitting kids. It was a tiny smack. I got light smacks on the head when I was being annoying, and I think that's okay. Anything more than that and it's over the line in my opinion. Anyway, they say that I'm never to speak to them again, and this whole reaction makes me wonder if I'm the asshole. Please help. Now, before I give my thoughts, there are a couple things that have been put in as extra for this, so I'm going to go ahead and read those. Someone asked, why didn't you put the dog in another room? Very good question. She loves being around people, and the thought of her being locked up makes me and my family very worried. I'm sure she has separation anxiety, and we're working on that. The reason she was able to be away from my family is because we were distracted putting food out. She usually stays with us, but didn't. Now, I understand the frustration of telling someone not to mess with your dog and then continuing to mess with your dog. And also, it doesn't matter how calm the dog is. If you piss it off too much, it will be angry and it will probably try to bite you. I think this is a lot on the parents of the kid, because they should have told their kid, hey, stop messing with the dog. You've been told to stop, right? So I definitely think they could have probably handled that situation better. But I also feel like maybe smacking your 4-year-old cousin is a little over exaggerative. Like maybe talking to the parents, and if they don't do anything about it, then I guess take things a little more into your own hands. Those are just my thoughts, though. That's probably what I would have done. That's going to be all I got for today. Be sure to leave your thoughts below, and if you like the content so far, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button for me. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.